this is an important week for the Cowboys. This is a critical week for the Dallas Cowboys. Let me remind everybody what happened this week a year ago. This week a year ago, there were teams who were moving on from their head coaches and trying to find a new skipper, trying to find a new gaffer, somebody to lead their team. And the Dallas Cowboys waited and twiddled their thumbs on Mike McCarthy, the Mike McCarthy who they ultimately moved on from. Now, the NFL has a rule that you can only interview playoff teams who hold the number one seed. So in this year's case, that's the Broncos and the Seahawks. In last year's case, it was the Lions and the Chiefs. You can only interview those coaches this week, the wild card week, because they're on their bye. Obviously, after that, they have a game to prep for. And last year, at this time, the Cowboys, who would eventually be looking for a new head coach, did not interview Aaron Glenn and did not interview Ben Johnson. And I understand, I'm not here to have the argument. If you are going to say, oh, I don't want Aaron Glenn, they were never going to hire Ben Johnson. Again, it's not about the name. It's not about the person. It's not about that specific individual. It's about the principle. It's about the fact that the Cowboys literally costed themselves a chance to interview somebody, anybody, any human being who could be their head coach. And they costed themselves that opportunity because they wanted to drag out the Mike McCarthy situation. And I say that as a word of caution for where we are right now. And I offer that as a word of caution because no good comes from dragging it out. If you're going to move on from your defensive coordinator, we are all understanding that you have to have the proper protocols and procedures and you got to do your exit meetings and things like that. Fine. But there's no sense in waiting 10 to 12 days, which was the report immediately after Sunday's loss to the Giants. There's no sense in doing it. You're only going to damage your ability to get a replacement candidate. You're only going to hinder and hurt yourself, your team, like you did when you did this song and dance with Mike McCarthy. So please do not drag it out. And beyond all of that, it's also not kind. It wasn't kind to drag it out with Mike McCarthy. It wasn't kind to drag it out with Jason Garrett. It won't be kind to drag it out with your defensive coordinator if you're just going to ultimately move on from him. Just do it as soon as you possibly can after we understand your protocols, your procedures, your meetings, your exit stuff, whatever. And that is what is best for everyone, yourself included. Nobody endorses waiting on things like this. Nobody endorses dragging them out. So please do not do this.